Hello again, Jim Dowson here, guest presenter with the Templar emergency broadcast, seeing you through this COVID great lockdown of 2020. I hope you are all well. I hope none of you have suffered any mishaps or other things. And today, Mr. Griffin was going to be presenting it, but he's going to be a guest now because we just couldn't get the technical stuff to work. But I think he's presenting tomorrow. But he's going to be on now as a guest. Are you there, Mr. Griffin?
I am indeed, Jim. Yes, I am. I had hoped to present today because, of course, today is St. George's Day and you should not be in the presenter's chair.
Aha! Well, Alba go bra. No, we don't mind St. George, but there won't be any St. George flags flying around here, I can tell you that, you Sassenach. But good to see you, Nick. Is the weather never good where you are?
The weather's absolutely lovely. I've been out for 3 walks today in between other work.
Good.
I've got a lot done today, but it's gorgeous out there. And I've got a family barbecue on shortly, so I can't be long.
Okay, well, let me crack on here. Let's see the screen, who's on. Let's see. Well, I'll read this wee bit of scripture, folks. You know, I like to start with a wee bit of scripture. Nothing wrong with that. And remember the old saying that the truth tastes exceptionally good when you've been fed a belly full of lies. And that's why you should always start the day with the scriptures. So I want to read, where is it? Where am I here? 1 Corinthians chapter 14, and it says one wee verse, verse 20. Brethren, be not children in understanding, howbeit in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men. And I'll tell you this, amen. May God add his blessing to this, the reading of his infallible word. And we'll go through this later on and tell you the significance of that. Remember, like the video, click subscribe, press the bell and comment below, and then set your wee alarm thing and all that stuff. Whatever you need to do. Okay, okay, who's in? Ross Mott, nice to see you. Mark Clark, nice to see you. Byzantine Warrior, wherefore art thou super chat button? I don't know what that is. But anyway, why are you using a fake name? Frankie, how you doing? John Andrews, good stuff. Paul Telford, how you doing? How you doing, my old strangler friend? Happy St. George's Day to you. But you're half Irish anyway, you know. Simon de Max, get the flag the right way up. What flag? Have we got a flag? Don't know where the flag is. Don't know what flag you're talking about. Panther, how you doing, Panther? Nice to see you again. Sean the Heron boys are in. Big McConnell from Donegal, nice to see you. Do you know that boy's getting a hell of a carry on? I mean, he's the first guy who's rose up as a right-wing patriot in Ireland for 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. He's got papers, he's stood in the likes, he's done everything. All the other right-winger having a go at him. Just shows you, the old green-eyed monster there, boy. Jonathan Boudin, how you doing? God bless you. Neville, nice to see you as well. Jason Winnipenny, hello. Scott Rash, great to see you. Greg Howarth, good old Aryan Barbarian. Don't like the sound of that, fake name again. Planet Guitar, another fake name. Les Androgovic, that's your real name. Can you not pick a simple fake name? It's good to see you. And Michael White, excellent, nice to see you all. And I think that it's we know who you are, good stuff. Nothing happened there. Brian Payton, good to see you in Florida. Is it Michelle? Michael? I don't know. Michael, good to see you, God bless you. And Spider Rogers, okay, what's he saying there? What's he saying? Blessing, Texas. Got my King James. Excellent. Take it to my buddy. Rebounded with it. That's wonderful. Excellent, Spider. Get a picture when you can, send it in. Okay, there's a lot of folk on today. Hamid Parkinson, Jane, hello Jane, Andy McBride, how you doing? Clinton Dixon, hello brothers. There's a meeting on the 16th in Texas. We'll get that emailed out for you, but let the brothers know as well. Clinton, how you doing? John Andrews, and yeah, that's it. But remember, I don't like all these fake names. We're the Templars. We're not one of these fake online pretend right-wing groups. We're a real right-wing group. We're a real Christian militia, and we're militia men, and we use our own names, and we stand or fall by our own dignity, honour, and name. So, there you go, I'll leave it with ease. Mr. Griffin, what do you want to talk about today? Yes. What's going on?
Well, I want to first of all talk about St. George. And point out over your head that everyone else has their saints, and everyone else has a saint whose day is a bank holiday and all the rest of it. But of course, St George is the forgotten saint, or rather the deliberately ignored saint, because the English are more than anyone else the forgotten and the ignored people, the people who really could make a difference if they would wake up. So keeping us out of our traditions and away from our patron saint is a way of they try to keep us down.
Wait a minute, Mr. Griffin, you're not ignored. You're subservient. You'd never keep the Scots, you'd never keep the Irish down. You've kept yourself down.
Well, you can say that, Jim. When the Scots and the Irish and the Welsh rise up against lockdown, then I'll believe you. At present, they, like the English, are being utterly subservient and frankly pathetic. And it's time we said enough is enough. But just one more thing on St George. You do occasionally hear the left wing talk about him, actually. Yeah. And they'll always come on, and all of them, schools, teachers, the BBC, when they mention St George, they might come on to say, of course, he was an immigrant, you know. So these stupid white English racists, blah, 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 you know, they're following an immigrant because he was Turkish. Now, of course, St George wasn't Turkish. He was a Christian European who lived in what is now Turkey. And the fact that he's now forgotten and gone driven out of Turkey, and the fact he's in many other countries, actually makes him absolutely the perfect patron saint for a people who are becoming a minority in their own country and are being persecuted in all sorts of ways, particularly Christians. Yeah. So he's absolutely our saint. I've got a bit of a thing for St Edmund as well, who was the saint here before the Normans came, a Saxon who was murdered by the Vikings, but that's a different story. But don't let anyone, if you're English listening to this, don't let anyone tell you that your patron saint is some kind of Turk, some kind of pseudo-Muslim. No, he's not. He's in Britain because he's a refugee from his own country because it's been taken over by Muslims. End of. The only other thing I'd like to say before we move on from St George, as it's his day, you're going to finish watching this about 6:30. As I said before, I've got a family barbecue to get to. But for the rest of you, if you're in England, grab the St George's flag that you've got somewhere, take it for a walk down the street. And if you want to phone your mates and get them to come out and also bring their St George's flags and go for a walk down the street, then that's fine because you're legally entitled, even under this government's incredible guidelines, you're still entitled to go for a walk. And also bear in mind, the government is now saying they want us all to wear masks. Only we can't wear medical type masks because they haven't got enough to go around because they've gutted our industry and we can't make things like that in Britain anymore, apparently. So the government's actually saying, don't wear a medical mask, wear a scarf across your face. And I think that's tremendously good advice for people who are going out in areas where there may be these officious, overgrown, overzealous semi-traffic wardens who have the nerve to call themselves police officers. But at the end of this, get out there, get out in the streets, take a beer, but do it elegantly. Take a St George's flag and go out and enjoy yourself in our country, in our sunshine, on your streets.
Excellent. And I would say to any of the Templar brethren watching, it is your absolute duty to go out with your St George's flag if you live in England and you're an Englishman. You're not much of an Englishman if you won't go out your front door right after this show and wave your England flag. And what do they shout in England? Wassail! Or something like that. I don't know what it is. But shout something. And get your England flag out and to hell with the government and all their silly, phony laws and restrictions. That's it. Now, I just want to make Mr. White, Michael White here says St. Patrick was born in England. No, he was born to the British tribes, British Romano. Probably born because the Britons at that time, the Welsh, lived in Strathclyde. So he was probably born around about Dumbarton. And the Irish took him because they came up the Clyde Estuary and took him. But he certainly wasn't born in England because Scotland has never been England, neither is it North Britain. So let's just put that one to bed. Be getting the Irish up in you in a minute. So now, regarding the this whole lockdown thing, Mr. Griffin, how serious do you think it's getting with the overreaction of the police and the stupidity and the arrogance of the British police? I don't see it happening in America, by the way. It just seems to be in Britain. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it is getting ridiculous. It's the same actually also in France. I was speaking to a French comrade earlier on today, and he said that while the French Muslims are getting really pretty uppity about it, he said that the French themselves are cucks, the same as most Brits, and they're not lifting a finger.
Yeah.
But it's getting serious. Obviously, the police are getting more and more aggressive. The government is now openly saying that we're going to be locked down in some form or another, particularly pubs and so on, for as long as they like, possibly up until Christmas. And that if there's a re-emergence, another wave of the virus, which of course there will be, because without going over old ground, as they've suppressed it before all healthy people got immune to it, it will come back, which means we'll have another massive clampdown another fight of economic disaster and political and personal mayhem for in all sorts of ways, sometime in the autumn.
Okay.
So it's very serious, not least in the end, because the powers that are being handed to the police and given to the police, power is a sort of drug. And once people have got it, they will not let it go unless it's taken off them.
Yeah.
So there's in Britain, or England in particular, there's a very, very old, a very core of our constitutional development and legal development was from Magna Carta and so on. The idea that everyone's under the law, that you're a free man in your own place, an Englishman's home is his castle, this also his street, and so on, and that when they first formed the police force, there was huge resistance to the idea of the government running a police force, because it was seen as something like a standing army, a force in uniform, which, as well as keeping the peace, which everybody wanted, could also enforce dictatorial government. Now, that obviously has been forgotten, that's that initial concern about the police over the centuries. There's still that, or there used to be that concern also about the army. I think it's very dangerous that people have forgotten this concern, because we're seeing a militarized police force and even the army being used in ways which our ancestors would have been horrified by and would immediately said, this is this is the start of a totalitarian government. And not of this. Just yesterday, I heard from someone working in the National Health Service who said that they've now got uniformed army officers travelling around to all the local hospitals, and I gather this is all over the country, and they're saying, oh, we're just here to help out, but we're here also to check how much PPE you've got and are you using it properly and all the rest of it. Now, what on earth is going on that the health service is groaning with overpaid bureaucrats in the first place, but now they're putting uniformed soldiers in to harass nurses about whether they're using too many aprons and too many masks when they're dealing with patients who do have what, if you get a big enough dose of it, is quite a dangerous disease. And like I say, our ancestors would immediately have recognised that as an overmighty state exploiting a situation in order to get the public used to the idea of the army on their streets when they do not need to be there.
Quite agree. Now, we're going to... what do you want to do first, the video, or do you want to put the Jada thing up?
I'd like
No,
to...
you wait a minute. I'm talking to the techie guy.
Right.
Sorry, Mr. Griffin.
Okay,
we're going to put your video up, Mr. Griffin. Do you want to introduce it?
Okay. Yes, there's the Derby one, yeah?
Yep.
Yes, so most Brits will have seen this already a couple of weeks ago, actually. But Jim, when we were talking about this earlier, you said you hadn't. One has, and I'm sure that our many American watchers won't watch this. So this is a clip which the Derbyshire police put out, boasting how wonderful they are. This isn't someone saying, look at these loons. This is the police. They tweeted this, saying, we're so cool, we're so hip, we're so with the kids. And this is the pathetic English police force in one of the occupied zones of Derby. It's where they heavily bombed during the Second World War because the Rolls-Royce factories were there. So this is what the keepers of law and order in Derby have now been reduced to.
Okay, let's have a look.
Yo, this is Derby Police. Don't be afraid, we come in peace. We got a message, so listen up quick. Take our advice and you may not get sick. Stay at home whenever you can. Don't go out on the streets with your fam. Don't walk around in two or more, or welcome knocking at your door. Only go to the shop for essential things like bread, milk, fruit and cheese strings. Go stretch your legs, but only one time. Do as we say or you might get a fine. Please help us to fight this disease. Lots of love from your favourite PCs.
Isn't that just mind-blowing? Yeah. So Jim is for once lost for words.
It's embarrassing. I mean, I don't know if I'm going. I don't know if my face is showing up red here, but I'm mortified. Oh dear.
Yeah, indeed. But I want when this stuff goes out, and especially when, like the ones you showed last night of the police bullying English people, bullying law-abiding Brits, when, as we know, constantly, if it's a group of Muslims or a group of young blacks, they turn away, they won't do anything. I'm urging people, do not let that make you angry against the Muslims or the blacks. It is not their fault. What they're doing is quite right, because actually to hide yourself away from this virus when you are young and fit and well is the most selfish thing you can do, because the only thing that's going to protect old people and the genuinely sick from catching this at some point is when so many healthy people have had it that it can't spread through our community. So in this case, those young Muslims and those young blacks, they're doing the right thing in defying this pathetic police force, and it's wrong for anyone to criticise them for it. And if the police force push their luck, as they are a bit with them, we don't see it, but they are pushing their luck with them some of the time. I've seen some footage of young blacks and young Muslims, when the police push their luck, they simply turn around and say, go to hell. And you shouldn't be angry about that. You should take note. That is what real men should do. That's what a people, Nick, a community which haven't been pussified, that's what they do.
I've seen certainly one of the biggest online, not real, just online, so-called new political parties in Britain, and an actual registered political party, right-wing party in Ireland, that a lot of people are pinning their hopes on. Both of those so-called political parties, right-wing, traditionalist, patriotic, nationalist parties, both of those parties, the leaders have come out and said, don't go out, and it's all full of young people, don't go out your house, don't go and help anybody. And they're ripping into the likes of us, and they're ripping into the likes of Niall McConnell and other groups who are actually going out and helping people, because they're saying, don't go out, stay in the house. Now, is that because they're genuinely stupid or frightened, or they don't want to be called out because they're not wanting to do anything and they're not capable of doing anything because they basically run online portals, they don't actually run real groups?
I think it's a combination of cowardice and laziness and incompetence, and the fact that the minute you actually start doing something, you have to put money into it, and you have to ask for money, and then they can't criticise us for asking for money, and other organisations that actually do things, whether it's food aid or aid to embattled Christians in Kosovo, like we talked about in the past, or various really effective campaigns, they all cost real money. And the common denominator of people online, almost always, is they say they don't ask for money, but actually they're always quietly asking for money. Before they got, before YouTube was, before they were stripped of the financial aspect of YouTube, they were coining it on that. And they asked for their supporters. They were doing it through Patreon as well. And one way or another, they're still asking for Bitcoin. They're still saying, just give us a couple of quid a month. Just give us $5 a month. And they have the cheek to say to us, we're asking for money. When you've got a very large range, which some of these people have, a very large reach, and you're asking a huge amount of money people to give you a couple of quid a month, it doesn't take many of that huge amount to give you a couple of quid a month. And you've got a lot of money coming in. And when you don't do anything with it, in terms of actually getting out in the real world and doing things, then, well, to me, that's a kind of fraud. And it's certainly not some kind of morality. And it certainly doesn't give them the right to criticise people who are actually doing things, like us and like Niall, when we say we need money for something. And this is what
and none of these people have even got a phone number or an office or anything. They don't do anything. They don't even exist in the real world. They have no landline number. They have no office. They have no staff. It's incredible. I was looking at an analogy today. If somebody came to your door and said they were collecting for charity, and you said to them, what's the name of your charity? And they gave you a name you'd never heard of and said, well, what's your address? I don't have an address. All right. What's your phone number? We don't have a phone number. Okay, what's your registration number? Oh, we're not registered or logged with any official body. And what's your name? I don't want to tell you. I've got an online name. Don't go moaning to people like us when they fleece you and rip you off. Because if somebody stood at your doorstep and said, no, we don't have a registration, we don't have an office, we don't have a phone number, nobody actually knows who we really are. Oh, right, wait till I get my wallet. If you're so imbecilic that you would either follow them or give them money or support of any description, you're a moron. These people are nearly always followers of Friedrich Nietzsche, who view the population generally as cattle who should be slaughtered or bled as the superior beings decree. And obviously the people running these parties, I know them. They're nearly all devotees of Friedrich Nietzsche. So what these people who are on YouTube supporting these folk don't realise is they are actually viewed by utter contempt by the people that they almost worship, because they're viewed on as cattle, because they are stupid. And maybe they do deserve to be fleeced because they're so utterly stupid and imbecilic. And that's the way these people view it. I don't believe that, because I'm a Christian and I think we're here to help people and try and educate people, not to exploit people. But there you go, that's why I follow Christ and they follow Friedrich Nietzsche.
I certainly think, Jim, that a number of the people following these fakes actually they're following them precisely because they don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And
Suits
so if
them.
you're following
Suits them.
someone who's not going to do anything, it
Yeah.
suits them. And you can see this across an all too big cross section again of people. I'm on Telegram. Please come and join me. Templars are as well. Come and find the Knights Templar, official Knights Templar on Telegram. Come and find me, Nick Griffin, on Telegram as well. But I see a lot of people on there, quite perfectly decent people and so on. And they're all saying, oh, well, the police are going to have trouble during Ramadan or at the end of Ramadan. And then, again, I come back to, then the Muslims are going to cause some trouble. And actually, I think it's true.
Yeah.
I think that we will stay under lockdown until we get near the end of Ramadan. And that will be the thing that forces the government to ease the lockdown quite a bit, because they don't want the huge amounts of trouble that will come if they try and stop all those young Muslims pouring out in their cars with their Pakistani flags and all the rest of it, driving around the streets like maniacs, doing what they do at the end of every Ramadan. And again, I come back to what a terrible, literally, shame it is for the British in general and the English in particular, that the best chance they've got of getting their pubs opened in the next couple of months is the fear that the government will have of a still relatively quite small number of Muslims just going out and celebrating. And it really is shocking. And people who are sneering at the Muslims over that are precisely the people who don't want to do anything themselves, and therefore they're quite suited to fake leaders who actually aren't ever going to do anything constructive.
I agree. Now, I know you've got to go now, Mr. Griffin, but I just want to mention to the people, and I know you know this lady as well. We had a lady on yesterday called Jada Franson. You know Jada. And she's the girl who even Donald Trump retweets her tweets. That's what actually caused the girl so much problems. The minute Donald Trump, the president of America, the United States of America, tweeted her tweets and was retweeting her tweets, the whole world lost its mind. And everybody, every news outlet and the police and the authorities, even the British Parliament, it was mentioned in the British Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. And that girl's life fell apart. She was thrown in jail with Muslims who tried to kill her. They took her house away, they threw her out in the street. They made her live in a Muslim area on the street so she could report to the parole office. Never seen anything like it in all my life. She was even banned from a part of the United Kingdom. So we've launched an appeal to help her. She should be up on the screen, I think. And here's the thing here. And I would say to folk, they should help her. What's your views on Jada Franson, Mr. Griffin?
I think she's a very brave lady indeed. I mean, she's not the only one who's been persecuted and gone to prison and so on. Tommy Robinson, for instance, has. Everybody knows that. And you can't take that bravery away. But the difference, again, I've been watching Jada on Telegram. The difference is that her message is also decent and online and very much in line with her. She's a staunch Christian. And she also, especially in recent, she's taken a little bit longer than me. I took a little bit longer than you to really get the COVID fuss. And she's also now hammering away on that. And she's the only one of all the nationalist leaders in Britain, either past, present, or self-appointed. She's the only one, other than you on the Templar Report and me, because I've been hammering this since the tail end of March. Yep. And I've been putting out the hashtag Lockdown Rebellion since the 2nd of March, and Jada's the only other one. And just to come onto one more thing about this before I get off, and this is directly related to Jada, that I've put on the Democracy Forum, which is the video platform that we're using. It's much more reliable and it's going to be a much longer term than YouTube. So I put on that just an hour ago, St George's Day challenge to all the so-called nationalist leaders of Britain, to Nigel, by name, challenge to Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson, Paul Golding, Mark Collett, Adam Walker, James Goddard, whoever's in charge of UKIP this week, and all the other YouTube chatterers, all of them by name, calling them as cowards over this COVID thing. And they're not all cowards physically. Paul Golding isn't, Tommy Robinson isn't, Nigel Farage isn't, as a matter of fact. But I'm calling them cowards on this. It's more moral cowardice that they are refusing to give the British people in general, and the English in particular, the leadership that they need to stand up and say, we are going to fight the imposition of a police state on our people. So I'm calling them out on that. And Jada is the only one of the nationalist leaders at any level in Britain that I haven't had to call out as a part of this problem, because she's already making herself part of the solution by doing what's right. So I've got a lot of time for Jada Franson, and I'm very pleased to see you taking some action.
Good, and remember, unlike Tommy Robinson, when she came out of prison, she didn't get presented with a £500,000 cheque from the Shillman Foundation, who are one of the most proactive Zionist groups in the entire world. She get nothing. She get flung in the street. So, listen, folks, you see the links there. And, you know, we're not an online group. We're a real group. We're real. We've got this. We've got priories all over the planet. Everywhere. All over Europe. Not in America, but we will have one soon. So, we need to help this girl. And we need you to help her. So the links are there. Do what you can. And I don't believe that there's not a person can help. I really don't believe it. Because everybody can throw in $5 or £5 in their money or whatever it is. Everybody can scrape that together. And for somebody who's, you know, we're all sitting sometimes and say, why won't anybody do something? Well, there's a young girl done something. She lost her house. She was thrown in jail. She was attacked by Muslims. Death threats. Secret service men all around her house. Steel doors, cameras, everything. Because the Muslims were trying to kill her so seriously. So she done something. And she suffered very greatly for it, but they've never broke her. So if we cannot spare £5 for somebody like that, we should be ashamed of ourselves. Simple as that. I believe in getting things done and calling it the way it is. So do what you need to do and help that girl, because she's still at it. They broke many a man by now, but she's not broken, so well done. Well, Mr. Griffin, I know you're desperate to get out to your barbecue with the family. He's got a big family, lots of kids, lots of grandkids. Please give them the Templar's regards, mine personally. What would you like to say in your final shot, Mr. Griffin?
I just like to say that I've been told that Mark Collett in particular is running around telling people, I've given up. So he won't debate with me about this hugely important question of whether or not there's an electoral road, or whether trying to go on that road is just wasting people's time and money, which could be applied to better things. He's saying that I've given up, so there's nothing to debate. So I want to make it very clear that Nick Griffin, I have not given up. Absolutely not. I did spend several years trying to work out what the hell we do. And speaking with people from the National Democratic Party of Germany, from Jean-Marie's wing, in effect, to the Front National, from people to people in Sweden, to people all over. And none of the nationalist leaders have really worked out what to do to be effective now that it's actually clear the electoral road
Templars
is blocked.
Templars knew it years ago. We told you.
Yeah, indeed so. But it's taken me a long time to really work out in detail how much more really worthwhile things there are and practical things that can be done, why they will work and why they're important. So particularly now I've got that, I most certainly haven't given up. As you know, Jim, I'm in the last stages of setting out and editing the Templar, the first of the Templar books that we're putting out, which is about the ideas primarily. It's about giving our young people the ideas they need to fight back effectively, and giving them the spirit that they need to have the guts to stand up and fight back effectively as well. And then with that out of the way, I've gone to finish my own works on the same thing. And I absolutely have not given up. What I had given up is banging my head against a brick wall, which someone else owns, which you can never get through. And if you did, you'll find at the other end, at the other side, another brick wall. If you get through that one, there'll be another brick wall. And if you get through that one, they'll simply ban you and cart you away. So I've given up on that kind of stupidity, and on fighting the last war instead of preparing people for the next war. There's a huge amount of work to do on that regard, and I am as committed to that as you are, Jim. And with that, I shall say again, happy St. George's Day. Amen. To everyone out there who has the great fortune to be born English. Good on you all. And like I said, as soon as Jim's finished telling you everything he needs to tell you, get out there with that flag, hold it high, and show your face and your flag for England and St. George.
Amen, brother. God bless you, Mr. Griffin. See you again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think of that? I think everybody who is English should go with a flag and get charging down the street and do something. Now, I seen somebody, who was it there? I seen a Russ Mott saying Mr. Collett said Mr. Griffin wouldn't debate him. Yeah, well, debate him any time, any place, anywhere. And that's what sometimes is needed for folk to debate, and then you get things sorted out. But debate should always be done the nice way. All this backbiting, I hate it. I don't like it. But sometimes you need to call people out. You need to call them out, and there's nothing else you can do about it. But some of our brethren who are here were asking me yesterday in private, who's good, who's bad. Look, folks, I I don't want to be rough or abuse people, but I'm going to be very blunt. And you know I'm a blunt man, but I'll try not to be a rude man. But I've got to be blunt. You're grown-ups, you're adults. Okay, if somebody comes up to you, as I said earlier, and asks you to join something, and you say, okay, what where is the organisation based? Well, we don't have an office. All right. We don't have any communications. We don't have any phones. We have no phone lines. We have no staff. We don't do anything. We don't produce anything. We maybe have a conference twice a year, which you have to pay for yourself. For goodness sake, why would you need me to tell you that's probably not a real organisation? It's probably just an online fantasy or ego massager for somebody. And one of the groups I've seen recently who'd been online for about 4 years, and everybody thought, and to be fair to them, after 4 years they became a fully fledged registered political party, and everybody was actually saying that these people could actually get elected. They didn't even get 0.5%. I could see it. I told people this before it, and I was called a traitor, a sellout, a defeatist. Look, I'm an adult, I'm a grown-up. If somebody's not got an office, if they don't have staff, if they don't have machinery, they don't have genuine experts in marketing, in production, and administration, and in accounts, and in fundraising, that organisation does not exist. It doesn't exist. It doesn't matter how many slick YouTube videos they produce. It doesn't matter how many Discord groups they've got. It doesn't matter how sincere the leadership appears to be. They are not a real group. Look, we're sitting in a real building, and we have several real buildings throughout the world. And even small parties have real buildings with real staff, pay real wages, they do real things. But, you shouldn't have to come and ask me. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't ask me. I'm here to help. And please, always feel free to ask me or any other member of the order. We will give you our honest and considered opinion. We don't like backbiting. But there are some people who are so utterly crooked and who've stolen so much from the cause, who have cooperated with the enemy at the highest level, with Muslims, with the police force, with the special services, to actually have former colleagues arrested. We won't badmouth them. We will tell you the truth about them. And if you think that's bad-mouthing, you're an idiot. Just a few years ago, we were approached by young lads, a group called National Action. And we sat them down and we told them they were being set up by several people who are now big YouTube stars. They were being set up and being used by MI5 for a scalp count because they were arresting a lot of Muslim radicals, and the government needed white Christian radicals to balance the books. We told these lads this, and we said, we'll have nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. And then they spun off into a violent mode. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, all of those people, all of them, over a dozen, are in jail with lengthy jail sentences. And we told them this would happen. And they gave us a load of cheek and told us we were old and we didn't know what we were talking about. Now they're all in jail. But the two guys who led those folk to jail are now running massive online platforms. I don't want to name them here, but they are. And they were the ideologues of these young guys. And they're doing it again now. And to be honest, people are so utterly stupid and blind and idiotic. They're blindly following people who don't do anything, who have no offices, who have no staff. They don't even have a phone number. And people are still following them. So in a year or two's time, people will be on here saying, Jim, you were right. Oh my goodness, you've no idea what's happened to me. Yeah, I'll have every idea what's happened to you, but I won't have any sympathy for you because it takes a special type of stupid to be so easily and gullible. So, I can fix a lot of things. I can fix people who are misguided. I can fix people who have maybe had a bad experience. I cannot fix that type and that depth of stupid. It's not possible. It's just not possible. If you're 17 or 18, you've got every excuse in the world. And even if you're a lady, you've probably got an excuse because women lack sometimes discernment. But if you're a grown man and you are falling into these traps, you really are an idiot. And you need to pull yourself together before you lead others down the same path. But, that's it. Well, I don't want to name them all. I see Mr. McConnell saying name them. There's no point in naming them at this moment. I always like to keep things nice and civilised. They know who they are. The people in this chat probably know who they are. But, in private, I tell everybody exactly who they are. But there's no point. But people like Mr. McConnell, who's doing a tremendous job. He's only been going 4 months, and he's got food aid going. He's got fought an election. He's done the first newspaper in Irish nationalism for 100 years. You've got these little fools sitting behind their computer screens calling a man all sorts of things and really getting stuck into him. It's appalling. And very few people defend him. It's absolutely disgraceful behaviour. But that's what happens. because, you know, birds of a feather flock together, and these little kind of chicken people all stick together, and they're quite happy joining a group that doesn't do anything or doesn't ask them for money. It's very comfortable for them, and they can all sit and pontificate how to fix the world without actually never getting out the front door, never facing bullets and bombs, never facing arrest or persecution, but they just sit, and then once or twice a year they have a conference and they all pat each other on the back. It's silliness. And one of the things that people get very annoyed about is people asking for money. I don't have any problem asking people for money at all, because it's not for me, it's for worthy causes. Remember, we have supported people who've been on the run from ISIS, from Hungary, who were under death threat. We hid them and defended them, and we would have defended them with our lives, but it didn't come to that. We have helped Jada and defended her. We've helped lots of people, and some people we can't mention. But it's not me. It's not Jim Dowson that's doing this. It's you. I can do nothing. I've got a microphone. I've got a desk. I've got an official book from the Serbian government. But I can only bring those to you. It's unless you step forward. What can I do? Nothing. I can only bring this to your attention. If the Spirit of God has moved you to do something, do it. If it hasn't, don't. So I can only do that. And I'll make no apologies for it. And I'll do it to my dying day, because we are here to help people who need help. And that's what the Templars are all about. We were founded to help poor pilgrims being attacked on the way to the holy city, and to look after people and to guide people. That's what we're here to do. So we're launching this week, that right now, today, we're launching this Jada Franson help drive. And remember, she's the woman who Donald Trump was retweeting, and it caused that girl utter destruction in her life. So I really want people to help out with this. I'm going to personally put a sizable amount in, as long as the wife's not listening. Does the wife watch this? I hope not. I'll be afraid to go home. But anyway, it's been good. And listen, this is a great time we're living in. We are blessed to be living in this time, because things were just trundled on forever. We are living in a time now, ladies and gentlemen, where God is doing the great parting of the waves. The chaff has been separated from the wheat. Oh yes, the sheep and the goats have been separated. And by the end of this, you will see, even the stupidest person will see, who are the real people and who are the fakers. Who are the people who help and who are the people who take. Who are the people who are all talk and who are the people who are all trousers. You'll see it. I already know. Most of you guys know. Some of the strangers on here maybe don't know. But we'll get it. Now what's that? Aye, exactly. Now the King James. Just before we go, King James Bibles, all this stuff. Yes, I was hours today, wasn't I, brother? But technical brother, I'll tell you, hours dealing with a woman from Cambridge, the oldest Bible manufacturers in the world, and we're just on the point of a deal. So hold fire, we're nearly there. Yep, Frank, I'll give you a wee phone later. Excellent. Well, listen, thanks very much. I probably took up too much of your time as it is. Tomorrow, remember, Mr. Griffin's actually presenting the show, so you'll have a break from me. I won't be here. Well, I will be. I'll be here in the Priory working, because we've got lots of. We've got lots of swords and shields going out tomorrow. There was a horrible backlog. There's a load went out last week. There's a load going out tomorrow. So hang tight, and thank you for your patience. So that's it. The book, Mr. Griffin was just telling me, the book there, it's almost done and ready, but it'll be a couple of weeks before we even start advertising it. But we'll be taking pre-orders for the Templar books. A big, thick hardback thing. It's wonderful. So we'll keep you informed of that. Anyway, that's all from me. Have a blessed, we better say this. God bless America. God bless Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France, Germany, and everybody else, but especially today. God bless England and the English people. And my prayer is that the English would rise up and take your country back again, because this wee Ulster Scot will be with you every single step of the way. Mr. McConnell on the Irish Patriot, Sean the Heron, Seed of the Irish Patriot on YouTube, is live in 15 minutes. If we can we've got a link in, have we? We've got a link there. Nip over there and support that guy, because let me tell you, he has cojones the size of coconuts. I'm sorry, but I had to say it. You don't know, but behind the scenes, this man's been threatened by very dangerous people with guns. Very dangerous people in Ireland. And he's been getting it in the neck also from right-wing people who should know better. So support that fella. Anyway, that's all from me today. Remember, stick close to God and you won't go far wrong. Dus val.
The threat is real, and we are on the front line. In a world of misinformation and attacks from the left and mainstream media, censorship, deplatforming, it is time to call out the fake news and bring you the truth. We are the Knights Templar. Visit our website and join today. We are the Resistance. Deus Vult.